Hi viewers, this is Rashmi Malapur Jaswal on the video series of On Mental Health, and we again have Dr. Ketki Datta with us, who is going to talk about mental health awareness to us. In spite of being a professor of English literature, she has turned to mental health awareness. Hi Ketki Datta, how are you?
Fine, thank you, Rashmi. I hope you are fine too.
Yes, I'm doing great. Thank you. So we were talking about some of your case studies, students that you came across, and
Yes,
you spoke to them. You tried to resolve their issues.
yes, I did. And I'll be quoting quite a few things today because when I was going through a particular chapter in psychoanalysis, mindfulness based cognitive therapy. Previously, I was interested in common behavior therapy, CBT. And then suddenly I came across a chapter in psychoanalysis which talked about mindfulness based cognitive therapy. Now I was drawn to it. Rather, it was acting like a magnet which was drawing me into its field.
Okay.
I talked to Dr. Sonali Chattopadhyay in Calcutta, who is a clinical psychologist. She told me, yes, Ketaki, I can talk about a few cases to you, and you can refer to those cases and you can start learning mindfulness based therapy. Now, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So, now, okay. Then, uh, what is mindfulness? I asked her. Dr. Sonali Chattopadhyay told me mindfulness is nothing but being in the moment, in this particular moment, here and now. She referred me to another book, Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Hurriedly, I went through the book. I read the book and I found that if we posit ourselves in this now, this very moment, each and every moment, we observe each and every moment. I'm talking to you, I'm observing the moment, I'm living in the moment, then automatically each and every moment will be well lived. This is number one. Number two is here. I am here sitting in front of my table, on my bed, in front of my laptop, talking to you about mindfulness. I'm enjoying this moment or not? Yes, I'm doing. That means I'm in the vortex of mindfulness. Okay. Now, this mindfulness based cognitive therapy, it had been practiced by John Kabat-Zinn from 1990. It's a very recent theory and recent therapy, which is being practiced in America and in other parts of UK as well. So John Kabat-Zinn theoretically did not start it. Theoretically, it was started by Z.V. Seville, J.M.W. Williams, and J.V. Tisdale. These three stalwarts of clinical psychology, they came to, to some depressed patients, the patients of major depressive disorder, MDD. They came to them and they were talking to them. They said that, what are you doing now? They were nonplussed. They said, we are sitting, we are very, very unhappy. What makes you unhappy? The thoughts. Then they say that you start concentrating on the thoughts and let them flow in. Do not obstruct them. Then they said, but we will be sadder. We will be more sad. Then this clinical psychologist said, okay, be more sad, but allow the thoughts to be poured in. Without any obstruction, they will be poured in. They were poured in, and automatically, this unobstructed flowing in of the thoughts had been absorbed by them, and automatically, an opposite force was simply negating them. Every action has an equal opposite reaction. So automatically, when the thoughts were pouring in, they were being obstructed from within and they were getting annulled automatically through mindfulness meditation. This practice was brought into Calcutta by this Chattopadhyay, and she started practicing. Case number one, which she related to me, was one Hemlata Bardhan had been there. She was a young girl of village, West Bengal village. West Bengal village, most of the family are conservative, and they think that their daughter should be married off at the age of 18. Previously, they were married off at the age of 15. Now, as the bar has come, so automatically they are marrying their daughters off at the age of 18, whether they are given the proper education or not. So Hemlata Bardhan was not being properly educated at the age of 18. She was married off to a well-off gentleman. After marriage, she was suffering from some mental disorder, and she was thinking that, why did I leave my studies? Topping all, she was being tortured by her in-laws as well as her husband. She wanted to come home back to her father, and she wanted to file a divorce case. Before doing that, she came to Sonali Chattopadhyay, Sonali Chatterjee. Sonali Chatterjee said that you start mindfulness meditation. It started working well, but in the meantime, this girl was die hard to go for divorce. She went for divorce. She came back and again joined the mindfulness class. And this mindfulness sessions for 20 long weeks will go on. She is in the 14th week perhaps right now, and it's working well. Number two case is Sandhya Jain. Sandhya Jain is a Bihari girl. No, not from Bihar. I think from Gujarat. She's settled in West Bengal and she's working with a firm. She is a diligent worker. She knows her work very well. But as she's a diligent worker, her boss is piling up work upon work on her. Automatically being overstressed, she cannot do justice to each and every assignment she's being given. And now her boss is simply lashing out his tongue on her. She now is losing confidence. She thinks that I might have lost my capability. I cannot do justice to each and every assignment, and I do not know, I am not fit for the job. What shall I do now? She comes to Sonali. Sonali again says that you start mindfulness meditation to start off with. She does that, and now she is about to kick off this job and switch over to another one, and this is working well. Number three case is a case of obsessive disorder, compulsive obsessive disorder, COD. And here in this case, a little girl, she thinks that whatsoever, she is being looked after well, she is being cared for well, but she thinks that this also is in Kolkata, my father will die. And she always says, I won't go to school. No, my father will die at any moment. I'm left with my father. My mother has died at a very young age. Now my father is there. If my father dies, what will happen to me? She keeps on thinking negatively. Believe it or not, at the age of 17, she lost her father. And right after that, she became almost insane. She comes to Sonali, and Sonali administers mindfulness therapy, because before going into medicines, she has to go through this mindfulness-based therapy. If it works at all, then automatically she does not have to go for strong medication. She is into the session and it's working well. So this is about Sonali and mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, which deals with two hormones, cortisol and adrenaline. If they work well, they work in consonance with each other, then automatically flowers will bloom. But if it doesn't, then what will happen? A person may glide into depression. Okay, so there is a new hormone. It's a sex hormone, and that too, it is issued. It is secreted from adrenaline gland, DHEA. If this hormone is worked upon, researched upon a bit more, then I think some wonder can be done. It is under research. I cannot come up with any possible or plausible theory right now. Now I am coming to my own cases. In 2014, I got a student. I'm not naming him. He sat in the class, was very attentive, was very good in English. He could write and speak very well. He was confident, not overconfident. And he used to tell me, ma'am, negative thoughts are cocooning me. I cannot come out of it. I always think that if I cannot achieve a very good mark in my exam, then what will happen? I say, do not think of marks, think of now. Think of right now. And automatically, each and every day, if you study, each and every day, if you inculcate good thoughts, positive thoughts, automatically you will achieve the good marks as you are aspiring for. What happens is that these negative thoughts, constant imbibing of negative thoughts, shoves him to the edge of not a very good result. So in the graduation, he comes out with a very decent marks, but he cannot top the lot. He goes to university. This time, he comes to me and says, ma'am, what did you see? I said, you have to do three things. You have to smile a lot. If possible, you have to laugh a lot. You have to be positive always. It's impossible to be positive always. No, you have to be positive always. And number three is that if you can meditate, sit, relax, listen to music, and commune with yourself. No, not with God, not with any other spiritual figure. You try to commune with yourself. If you can commune with spiritual figure, that's very nice. But if you cannot do so, to communicate with yourself for 5 minutes. Close your eyes, connect with yourself, and go to this level. Connect with yourself. Take deep breaths, breathe in, breathe out, and connect with yourself. It will help you. After a week, he comes to me and he says, yes, ma'am, it's working. I can at least concentrate. But the bad thoughts come, but they again get washed off. I thought, yes, this common behavior therapy was working. Then that year, he came with 57%. In the final year, he came up with 64% and he stood first in the post-graduation exam. This is number one case. Number two is a crucial case. I was imparting post-graduation lessons in the post-graduation classes. I came in contact with a student who was a bit isolated from her friends. There had been veritable reason for it. She did not come from a well-off family, well-to-do family. She could not come with Gucci bags, and she did not have much money to flaunt her looks, her status, nothing at all. So one day she came to me, she said, ma'am, I feel cornered. I feel that I should not pursue this course. I will go away because I do not have any friend. I said, what do you want? Do you want a friend or do you want good results? So that you can embark upon the next step very, very positively. She looked at me, positive. I said, positive is the only word. You have to be positive. You have to think about yourself. Okay, I do not have any friends as of now. Okay, fine. You concentrate upon your studies. After the classes, you go to the library. If possible, you join a yoga class or a meditation class, and then you come again and study. She pursued that. Now, she's a lecturer in a college. What more shall I say? So this is case number two. Another case I have to talk about, that is going out education to the orphan boys and girls, to an orphanage. Very recently I'm going, not more than 6-7 months. One day a little boy came and hugged me. He took me in an embrace. A little boy hugged my legs and said, ma'am, you said that you won't be coming to tell us stories from tomorrow, won't you? I said, okay, you see, I have some important work to mind, so I may not come from next week. He said, no, you have to come. I stopped going there. He became suicidal. He was asking, when will that KD ma'am come? She tells us stories. Then I sat back and I thought, which type of stories did I share with them? All positive stories. How a little girl became a gentleman, had work, earned money, became successful, had a successful family. And this child loved the stories because he was an orphan and he dreamt of these things. And when I stopped going there, he stopped dreaming all these things. So from the next month, I again started going there and I started painting dreams in front of their eyes. This is case number 3. That is when the have-nots learn about the positive thoughts, they start imbibing the thoughts, and this is their meditation through the stories, and they try to become successful, try to have some positive moodings in later life, in the life later. So these are the cases. Now I have some tips to share for everyone. How to be positive. Is it possible to be positive always? Yes, it is. How? Number 1 is, when you get up in the morning, you think that today is the only day I'm living in earth. On this earth, this is my last day. So I must make the most of it. Number 1. Number 2 is, when you touch the ground with your feet, you say that I must smile, I'm very happy today. And then you pray to God, whichever God you like. It may be Allah, it may be Krishna, it may be Christ. You pray, God be with me, I'm going to face the world. Now you go to the toilet and if possible, chant the mantra which makes you very happy. For me it is Om Namah Shivaya. For me it is He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kando Radha Kanta Namastuti. For someone else it may be Oh Allah, Allah. Another one, oh Christ, help me. So just do that while brushing your teeth. Then you get ready for the day. So while you are getting ready for the day, always think that I must have something good coming my way. Something good. It may be anything. And then you express your gratitude to God. God, I'm grateful for everything. Grateful for this day. Grateful for this chair I'm sitting in. Grateful for the table I have with me to write on. So I'm grateful for everything. Grateful for the workplace where I go to deliver lectures. I'm grateful for that. Then you start your day's work. When you come back from work, maintain one thing. Do not talk much. Do not talk much. When it is necessary, talk. Otherwise, you think of something, maybe God, maybe a positive thought, maybe a dream, maybe something which you. And when you end the day, you read something positive. Maybe a bedtime story, maybe 2 lines from the Gita, or maybe anything else. What I do is, I tell myself, Ajunit Shashvatam Purano na hanyate hanyamani sharire. Na jayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita vanavyo Ajunit Shashvatam Purano na hanyate hanyamani sharire. So, another person may not be a Hindu, maybe a Muslim, maybe a Christian. At least something which makes him happy. So when he touches his bed on the pillow, he must say, I was the happiest person today. Thank you, God, for the day. So this will be the motto of everyone's life. Number 3 is never cry. If you want to cry, you cry, go to the toilet, cry for a second, maybe a minute, come refreshed, and then face the world. Never cry in front of others. Number 4, you eat healthy. No junk food, no fried food. Take enough water. And number 5, the last one is, if possible, meditate for 5 minutes and go for asanas or yoga, not more than three. Three asanas, 4 or 5 free hand exercises. This will keep you healthy all through the year. So be positive, keep smiling, accept everything as it is, and come what may, you will face the world with a big smile on your lips. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Anything you want to ask?
That was,
Anything you want to ask?
yes, no,
Thank you so much.
that's about just that. It was nice talking to you, Dr. Ketki, and I'm sure our viewers also have enjoyed what you were telling.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Of course, I did. I did enjoy.
Yeah.
That
Thank
is why I was looking forward to the
you.
session.
Yes, yes. Okay,
And
viewers.
I think our friendship will remain forever. We will be friends forever.
Yes,
Not for these 2 seconds,
yes,
but
yes,
forever.
yes.
Because when I hold the hand of a friend, it is forever.
Okay.
Okay? So you can count on me whenever you need me. Talk to me. I'm there with open arms. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Namaste.
Okay, viewers, that was Ketki Datta for us. See you in the next video, and do subscribe to my channel on mental health. Thank you so much.